G'day guys, Fitcho here, and welcome back to my F1 2018 career mode. We're here for episode number 3 and the Chinese Grand Prix. If you guys did miss the previous round of the championship, the Bahrain Grand Prix, there'll be a card in the top right hand corner of the screen. You should definitely go check that out. But today's Chinese Grand Prix, the weather is definitely going to be playing a massive part in today's race. If we open up the race strategy, it's going to be heavy rain for the entirety of the race, and I have not fully experienced the full wet conditions on F1 2018 yet, so this is going to be a big learning curve throughout this Grand Prix. Now, you might have noticed I'm actually starting in 19th place instead of 20th for this Grand Prix, and that is because Brendan Hartley has taken a grid penalty, so he drops back behind me into 20th, and also on the grid penalty, Sebastian Vettel has taken a 10th place grid penalty, and he's going to be starting out of 12th place on the grid. So it's a Mercedes front row lockout, and both the Ferraris are displaced in what's going to be a very interesting Chinese Grand Prix in some very, very treacherous conditions. But before we do get into this, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you do subscribe with notifications on so you know when every episode of this series does go live. Without further ado, let's head to the race. Here we go, we're on the grid in China. Grab the clutch, get the revs up, a little bit lower on the RPM, I would say, in these wet conditions, and as lights out, and away we go. The Chinese Grand Prix is underway. A lot of wheel spin off the line as Brendan Hartley gets a better start than we do, as we can barely see a thing as we head up into turn number 1, but around the outside of potentially both the Williams through this long turn 1 and around the outside of a Toro Rosso. We are making this outside line really move down into turn number 2 now. We are right behind 2 of the McLarens, still side by side with the Toro Rosso of Pierre Gasly. And it looks like Vettel is just ahead of the 2 McLarens ahead of us, is now on to the brakes. We go, careful. Oh my god, the Toro Rosso is diving us up the outsides. I'm still trying to get a feel for these conditions. Gasly, very aggressive in the opening phase of this Grand Prix, but our visibility in the spray here, further back in the pack, is absolutely atrocious. We have a bit of a run on Stoffel Vandoorne. We're going to go to the outside of this right-hander. It's going to become the inside for the double left-hander here, and we're going to take away that 14th position. And we're only just 2 places behind our teammate right now, who has not made up a single place in this Grand Prix. Everyone is so slow trying to get a feel for these conditions through the long right-hander coming on. Oh my lord, we got a massive slide there. It felt like we hit a big sort of puddle or something, and the car just lost all grip in the car, and that's hurt our run onto this straight. Stoffel Vandoorne, I don't think it's close enough to properly attack us, but we are not close enough to attack the cars in front of us. Very gentle on the brakes as Sebastian Vettel finds his way past his future teammate Charles Leclerc as we're about to come to the end of lap number 1. Lewis Hamilton leading this Chinese Grand Prix, and we've made our way up 5 places, I should say, starting out 19th into 14th, and now we have the McLaren of Fernando Alonso in our sights as we head up into turn number 1. We're going a little bit wide, but can we actually turn this into a nice overtake around the outside? The back end getting quite loose, and he's trying to cut across on us there, and we didn't quite have our nose far enough up the inside. To be fair, we weren't committed enough the final bit of turn number 1 to get space up the inside of turn 2. I'm losing words here. I'm having to concentrate so hard on the driving. We got some really good traction out of turn number 6. Can we look up the inside here at this right-hander? No, we can't, but possibly the same move that we pulled on his teammate around the outside, which becomes the inside. We locked up a little bit. We pushed him a little bit wide. Not the cleanest overtake in the world, but we do make it stick up into 13th place now, as now we have Charles Leclerc in our sights. We've got to be so tentative on the throttle through this long right-hander coming onto the back straight. Even being super tentative, the back end was starting to break away from us. We're in the slipstream of Charles Leclerc now. We're actually going to leave this in hot lap mode, and we're going to look up the inside of the young monogas driver. Careful on the brakes, still trying to get a feel for the brake pedal. Up the inside, squeeze him out on the exit. A textbook move there, up into 12th place, and now we have our teammate and championship leader, of course, equal on points with Lewis Hamilton, Sebastian Vettel, right in front of us. Sebastian's quite slow through these fast corners. Can I pull off this same move around the outside of our teammate that's going to turn to the inside. Careful on the brakes. We get across to the apex this time, but he's still trying to go around the outside. We get a bit of a slide going, and he can't hold it around the outside, and we make that move stick past our teammate, and now only one place outside of the points. In the next car on the hit list is Sergio Perez, who had a questionable real-life Grand Prix at the weekend, and hopefully he races us a little bit cleaner than he raced Sorokin in real life here. Right on the back of Sergio Perez. We had a good run out of the hairpin. I even considered a move into the final corner, but I wasn't quite close enough. And in these tricky conditions, I don't want to do anything too stupid, but not quite close enough. Possibly up the inside of turn number 1. A nice move. A little bit of contact as I drifted a tad wide, but nothing too bad. And up into the points we go. Now we have the two Haas's in front of us, and then it is Perez's teammate Esteban Ocon in the Force India right on the back of Grosjean. Can we look up the inside of turn number 6? No, we can't. Not quite close enough. We're coming up to our favorite overtaking opportunity so far this race. We pulled off 3 moves there on each of the McLarens and then our teammate. Can we add Romain Grosjean to the list of drivers that we have gone around the outside of? I've sent it in a little bit too hard this time. Are we going to make it stick? I think we are. Up the inside, originally the outside, now the inside, and now into 9th place. And up next is Kevin Magnussen. It's only lap 4 as well of this Grand Prix. We are making good progress through the field. I definitely seem to be more comfortable in these conditions than a lot of the other drivers right now. Oh, Magnussen is going very, very slow on the apex of turn number 2, but there's not too much we can do to get past the Haas right now when he parks it on the racing line so much. And I'm not too confident on the brakes, I will be honest. I've been very cautious on the brakes compared to everyone else, but I seem to be carrying more speed through the apex of a lot of the corners. But coming back up to our favorite overtaking opportunity here at China. Not the best run through the left-hander. I don't think we are quite close enough to send it around the outside. Actually, we are. A really nice run there, and up the inside we go on the other Haas, and another beautiful move there. That is move number 5 at that same corner, and now we have the Force India of Esteban Ocon just in front of us. I think Jeff is just telling us this heavy rain is going to last for another 20 minutes at least, and to be honest, with my pace in these conditions right now, I'm actually quite happy with that. I'm still getting comfortable with them, but I definitely seem to have a fair bit of pace. I'm finding a nice groove in these conditions. Oh, a good run through the final corner right on the back of Esteban Ocon, up into hot lap mode. We have a lot of batteries, we haven't been using too much of it, and up the inside of turn number 1 past the Force India, up into 7th place. So up next we have the 2 factory Renaults who have pulled clear of the midfield. And before this race I was actually having a little look at the R&D tree, and I actually did an upgrade on the durability because that doesn't really affect our performance. It's just going to stop us having reliability issues later in the season. And Renault have actually made a few upgrades, and they're trying to pull clear of the midfield, and I think that is quite clear here in this Grand Prix. They're pulled clear of the rest of the midfield, but they're still sitting a little bit behind the Red Bulls. I will say it is nice to be out of that train. I actually have a little bit of visibility as we head down the back straight, and I'm just looking on the mini-map. It looks like Sebastian Vettel is still behind both the Force Indias and both the Haas cars. He is really not making good progress through the field like we are, and this could really hurt him in the championship, because I do believe Lewis Hamilton is out at the front of the Grand Prix. It looks like there's yellow flags at the hairpin. There's been some kind of incident. Brendan Hartley is out of the Grand Prix. Is this going to trigger some form of safety car or virtual safety car? It looks like it's a fair way off the track, and I would say not. We set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix up into hot lap mode, and we have an issue with the rear wing, it looks like. I'm not too sure what that means, possibly a DRS failure, but we are not worried about that right now. We are fighting with Carlos Sainz, and we push up his inside into turn number 1, and we are now into a Renault sandwich. Up next is Nico Hulkenberg, and once we get past him, we're going to be up into the top 5, but I am a bit concerned by the red or orange, let's say, on that rear wing. I would assume it's DRS, which will have no effect on us in this race. I'm just waiting for Jeff to say something, confirmation that it is only a DRS failure. Oh, that's a big slide coming onto the straight, and that's really going to hurt my rear tire wear, but more importantly, that's cost us a big run at Nico Hülkenberg. We've been closing up to him quite a lot, but now we're just nowhere near close enough to make any sort of move at the German. Right, we've closed back up to Nico Hülkenberg through this fast left-hander. Now our favorite overtaking opportunity. Are we quite close enough? Yes, I think we are. Around the outside becomes the inside into this left-hander. I think that is our 6th overtake at that very spot. Both McLarens, our teammate, both Haas's, and now add Nico Hülkenberg to that list, and we are now up into the top 5. And up next is our compatriot Daniel Ricciardo. The 2 Red Bulls are next up on the track, and then I believe it is the 2 Mercedes at the front of the field. Another fastest lap of the Grand Prix, and we are now within a second of Daniel Ricciardo on lap 13 of 28, almost at the halfway point of the race, which is also the pit window, as these wet tires are not going to make it to the end. We're going to have to bolt on another set of the full wet tires, and we're getting very close to our compatriot right now. Not quite close enough to launch a move, but a good run through turn number 6 down here, and we could try that same move that we keep pulling around the outside of the fast right-hander. We just need a really good run through this left-hander right here, send it in, try to carry as much speed as the tires allow me to, and I don't think we are quite close enough at the moment around the outside. Not quite enough grip to send a risky move up the inside, and I don't think I want to. With the excess pace we have over the Red Bulls right now, almost a second a lap quicker, there's no harm in being patient for a couple more corners or a lap before we send a move. Looks like we have back markers getting in the way, and that is Sergei Sorokin. He is going to park it right on the apex for us, and we have to go the long way around the Williams, and that has really not helped us at all there from Sergei. He should have just lifted more down the straight, let me go before the turn-in point to the hairpin, but so be it. I have that much excess pace. I'm not too stressed right now about the getting past the Red Bulls and the pace, but we don't want to lose too much time because we still have both the Mercedes to catch and pass, and I believe Jeff saying the pit window is now open, the midway point of the Grand Prix, and we're likely to box on this very lap. We're a lot closer to Ricciardo than we were on the previous lap through the long left-hander. Can we try our favorite move around the outside of this right-hander? Yes, we can. Becomes the inside into the double left. A nice move there on Ricciardo and up into 4th place. Now we have to set our sights on his much younger Dutch teammate, Max Verstappen. Right, so end of lap 14. Jeff has just told us that the rain is going to be staying around, so I am going to be pitting, splitting this race dead in half with the 2 stops, slowing down for the limiter nice and early. Into the pit lane we do go. Halfway through the race, a good start to this race, and we have a lot of pace in these conditions, which makes me very, very happy. Onto a fresh set of the wet tires. Good stop from the Ferrari boys, and we stay ahead of Ricciardo, and it doesn't look like either of the Mercedes. Oh, actually, one of the Mercedes has a box, I should say, and already rejoined further up in the race. And we are rejoining in 7th place. Is up into turn number 1 we go on our fresh boots. We have a little bit of an undercut on Max Verstappen, so we should hopefully be able to make the most of that if we can set a decent lap here. Right, so both the Mercedes that didn't pit and Max Verstappen are now into the pit lane as we are heading through the hairpin. It's going to be interesting to see where they do come out relative to us. The Mercedes will likely be further up the road. Our teammate is in the pits. Kevin Magnussen directly in front of us has also dived into the pit lane. And Max Verstappen is coming out of the lane just here. Are we going to jump him up into turn number 1? It's going to be very, very close. We're going to have to go around the outside of Max Verstappen on the warmer tyres that we've actually got up to temperature over the last lap. And we pass Max Verstappen, who's come out on cold, fresh, wet tyres, and up into third place. And now we set our sights on the Silver Arrows, who are a fair way up the road. First up is Valtteri Bottas, and then race leader Lewis Hamilton. We have just under half of the race left to reel them in, pass them, and go for victory here in China. Oh, there's yellow flags up ahead, and it looks like a Mercedes is slowing, and there's a Williams off the track. Bottas is now, there's a Williams just there. Bottas is now into first, and there is a Mercedes slowing. That is Lewis Hamilton, and he is not showing as any sort of position. Lewis Hamilton is out of the Grand Prix. He's had a run-in with a Williams on the back straight, and the championship leader is out, and the virtual safety car has been deployed. Sergei Sorokin is the Williams he got involved with, who is also out of this Grand Prix. Massive controversy. I will definitely find that on the replays, and you'll be seeing what happened between the two right now. Obviously, I can't comment as I am live coming this race. I am still driving my Ferrari, and I can't go back and look right at this second. But I'm not too sure what's happened, but chaos. Let's just leave it at that. Chaos here in China. Race leader taken out by a back marker as we are struggling to stay under the delta. It is so ridiculously low. Now we only have one Mercedes left to worry about, and that is Valtteri Bottas. Oh, here comes Max Verstappen in our rear view mirror. He's going up our inside. The virtual safety car really didn't help us at the end. I got caught having to check up on the brakes a little bit with the deltas. I was going a little bit too early. Verstappen up our inside, but we keep it right around the outside of the hairpin, and we hold on to this second place, getting beached on the curb just a little bit, and this could hurt us run down the pit straight. Is he going to come back at us? He is gaining, and he's not going to be close enough up into turn number 1. I think Jeff saying about 7 seconds up to Valtteri Bottas, so we don't want to spend too much time fighting with Verstappen. We have 10 laps to reel in 7 seconds on a Mercedes. That is going to be tricky, but we do have good pace in these conditions, and we should be able to break away from Verstappen now. Oh, Valtteri Bottas has set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, but we go and smash that by just under a second, I do believe, and now the gap is 5.6 up to Valtteri Bottas. We have very good pace here, and it looks like we're going to have about 3 or 4 laps to actually attack that Mercedes driver for the victory of this Grand Prix if we keep up this pace. We've reeled in almost a second on Valtteri Bottas on that lap. The gap is now under 5 seconds, so in about 5 laps time, we should be looking right at the gearbox of that Mercedes, and that will give us about 4 laps to try and then find a way past him. There are 5 laps left of this Chinese Grand Prix, and we are only just over a second behind Valtteri Bottas right now. We have caught him quite quickly, and we have a fair few laps to pester the back of that Mercedes and see if we can make this ice-cool Finn crack under pressure and find a way past him and take away victory of this Chinese Grand Prix. My main 2 options, I would say, are that overtake I keep pulling off around the outside of that right-hander, which goes in to the inside for the left-hander, or at the end of the very long DRS straight. Of course, without the help of DRS in these conditions, but still, a good toe down there is very effective. Through the long right-hander, tippy-toeing on that throttle, feathering the throttle, I should say, just trying to get the power down without the back end trying to kill me. And I don't think we're going to be close enough to have a run at Bottas down this back straight on this particular lap. We've closed up through the final corners. We start lap 25 up into hot lap mode. We are gaining on Valtteri Bottas just a tad too late down the straight. We didn't really have anywhere to go with it, and we've just had to jump on the brakes a fair bit in the middle of turn number 1 as he was parking it a little bit on the apex, try to get a nice run out of turn 2 through turn number 3. As you know, I think this is a kink at turn 5. I forget the numbering here at China, but I don't think we're quite close enough to launch it up the inside at 6 like Daniel Ricciardo did to snatch victory away from Valtteri Bottas then. Can I do the same thing as Ricciardo through turn number 7? I think this is the long left-hander around the outside of turn number 8. I think it is. Can we make this move stick up the inside into this tight left-hander? And we do make that move stick up the inside of Valtteri Bottas and up into the lead of this Chinese Grand Prix. A little bit deep though into that left-hander. That's going to compromise our run through that right-hander and our run all the way down this long back straight, squeezing on the power of the back end, trying to get away from us. Valtteri Bottas is right on our gearbox. We're going to push him across to the right-hand side of the circuit a little bit. We're going to turn our ERS up. What can we do about the fin? Back into the slipstream as we head down towards the hairpin. We're going to dive to the outside, try to get a nice switchback on the Mercedes. It's a little bit too late on the power to make that move stick, and Valtteri Bottas retakes the lead of this Chinese Grand Prix. As through the final corner we go, we have 3 laps left of this race. We've got a nice run on the fin. Can we look up the inside, down into turn number 1? Not quite close enough. There's contact. I'm going for a big spin. I managed to catch that somehow with absolute full lock on the car, as he just went a bit slower on the apex of turn 1 than I perhaps expected. A little bit of contact almost sent me into a spin, and we've just dropped a little bit back off Bottas now. Onto the back straight we go for the 3rd last time. We had a scrappy run onto the back straight, but the ERS up into hot lap. We're definitely not close enough to make a move at Bottas, but at least we should be able to gain up a little bit using that battery pack. Starting the penultimate lap of this Chinese Grand Prix, and the gap between 1st and 2nd is exactly half a second in to turn number 1 we go. What can we do about Bottas going quite wide into turn number 1? Cut it back. Now try to open up turn number 2, a late apex. Try to get the power down as early as we can. Are we going to be close enough to send it up the inside of the hairpin? No, we are not. I don't quite have the confidence on the brakes to try a dive bomb in these conditions. We don't get the best run through there, and I'm not sure we're going to be close enough to try our move through that long right-hander through turn number 7. I do believe that is... Oh, we've locked up the front right as I was trying to wash wide and go around the outside of Bottas. So that is not going to work on this particular lap. Through the double left we go now. Not the best run through there, but hopefully we can stay close enough to Bottas to get the run down the DRS straight. Of course, without DRS in these conditions, but nonetheless, it is a fantastic overtaking opportunity. The back end getting away from us as we're coming on to the straight, struggling to find the tractions, fighting with the car all the way, and that could cost us a run down this back straight in hot lap mode, and we're not going to be close enough to make a move at Valtteri Bottas. We're only going to have 1 lap left to make this move. Here we go, starting lap 28 of 28 here in China, the final lap of the Chinese Grand Prix. We are still hunting down Valtteri Bottas for the lead of this Grand Prix. Can we make anything work on the fin? I'm going to try to line him up for the overtake. I've pulled on so many cars today, and hopefully we can then hold on to that position. It seems to be the best way to overtake in these conditions for myself personally, with where my strengths do lie, as we go purple in Sector 1, closing right up on Valtteri Bottas, now struggling for traction on the exit of the hairpin, now into the fast right hand. This is where we have to, left-hander I should say, this is where we have to really gain up on Valtteri Bottas. Then we send it to the outside, full commitment around the outside. It becomes the inside for this left-hander. Can we get this move done? Yes, we can. We squeeze him out on the exit and up into the lead of this Chinese Grand Prix, and I think we have just about done it, heading down into the final sector now through this corner. We don't run deep like we did on the previous lap. And now we have to fight the traction through this long right hand. Oh, we're fighting the car, fighting it so much, trying to get the power down. I think we have done it. We're going to win this Chinese Grand Prix. I think we're just far enough ahead of Bottas, but we are running dangerously low on our battery power. As on to the brakes we do go for the final, second last corner, I should say. Oh, we've gone wide, we've gone deep. Bottas has got to run. We're side by side, heading up to the final corner. I'm fighting with the car, getting in the grass. Oh, we've locked up into the final corner. We've run a little bit wide, fighting for the traction, and Bottas is going to take the win here in China as we cross the line in second place. Oh, that got very scrappy there right at the end. I just struggled coming out of that final, second last corner, the hairpin. I went deep, and then I was struggling to find the traction a bit on the grass, and that just completely compromised my run into the final corner. And Bottas stayed cool in the tricky conditions, took the racing line and just got under me and took the victory there. That is really frustrating. I had the pace to win this Grand Prix, and I've gone and thrown it away.
So as I say that, we can see the drivers coming out now to collect their trophies. It's yet more silverware to take back to their base in Brackley after another excellent Grand Prix.
So, Valtteri Bottas has won the Chinese Grand Prix by only half a second over myself. Then Max Verstappen, the final step on the podium. Ricciardo in fourth. Our teammate Sebastian Vettel managed to fight his way up into fifth. Then it's the two Renaults, the two Haas's, and Esteban Ocon rounding out the points. Charles Leclerc just narrowly missing out. And if we have a look, scroll down to the DNF part of this race, you're going to see one big name, and that is Lewis Hamilton, who is leading the race, who had some incident with Sergei Sorokin. I have still not seen it myself, but I'm sure you guys have, and that is really unfortunate there for Lewis, and that is going to hurt his championship. We're going to look at the standings now. And Valtteri Bottas has jumped up into the lead of the championship. I am sitting there in second place, only 1 point off. Still 1 point off the championship lead. Sebastian Vettel in third place, 8 points back of Bottas. And then Hamilton, who's taken a big hit here in China, 18 points off his teammate, and he is sitting in fourth place. And Max Verstappen has climbed into the best of the rest spot. Then you have a Renault and a Force India. That's another Red Bull, Renault and Force India combo there to round out the top 10. If we look across at the constructors standings, despite Mercedes leading in the drivers, Ferrari sit atop the constructors with 101 points, 9 points more than Mercedes. Then Red Bull sitting in third, Renault the best of the rest. Then you've got Force India, McLaren, Haas, Toro Rosso, and Williams and Sauber still yet to score a point. So that is now 3 second places from 3 races in a row. Very consistent, but still yet to stand on the top step of the podium. Hopefully we can do that next time out as we head to Baku. Now, I have actually seen the Hamilton-Sorokin incident since the race. I went back, looked through the replays, and holy crap, it looks like Hamilton had a mechanical failure going down the back straight, and then he's just taken out Sorokin, sideswiped him on the straight, 300k an hour. Absolutely bonkers, and it hasn't given Hamilton any form of penalty, which I think is a bit ridiculous for that. But nonetheless, next time out we are heading to Baku, a long stretch there, Slipstream City in Baku, let's call it, and that should make lots of overtaking opportunities at Baku. It should make it a lot easier for us fighting through the field, and this is our best chance at victory before we get to Monaco, I do think. Unfortunately, we had a great chance today, but weren't able to capitalize there and actually grab the victory. But hopefully we can next time out in Azerbaijan. But that's going to do it for today's video, guys. If you guys did enjoy it, make sure you do leave a like on the video. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you do subscribe with notifications on. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.